My sister walked into the business I built and said, "Dad's giving it all to me. I have kids to feed." I just smiled and replied, "Take a look at the ownership papers. My name is Chelsea. I started working when I was 16. Not because I wanted to, but because I had to. My parents never seemed to have money for me, but somehow always had plenty for my sister Lily, who is 6 years younger than me. I remember the day I decided enough was enough. I needed new shoes for gym class. The soles of my old ones were practically falling off. When I asked my mom for money, you'd think I was asking for a diamond necklace. "Chelsea, do you think money grows on trees?" Mom sighed, reluctantly opening her wallet. "Here's $30. Make it work. $30 for gym shoes." I tried not to show my disappointment. Later that same day, I watched as my parents took Lily shopping. She came home with 3 new outfits, a stuffed unicorn, and a fancy electronic tablet for educational purposes. I did the math in my head. They'd spend at least $300 on her in one afternoon. It wasn't a one-time thing, either. When I needed money for a school field trip, Dad made me explain exactly what educational value it had before handing over the cash with a lecture about responsibility. Meanwhile, Lily would throw tantrums in toy stores and walk out with whatever she wanted. My friend Emma's parents owned a coffee shop called Been There, Done That. One day, while doing homework there, I overheard them talking about needing weekend help. I didn't even hesitate. "I could work for you," I said, surprising even myself with my boldness. They hired me that day. I worked after school and on weekends. The pay wasn't much, minimum wage plus tips, but it was mine. I didn't tell my parents. I knew they'd somehow find a way to take it from me. For 2 months, I worked and saved. I bought myself new shoes, clothes, and even started a small savings account. For the first time, I felt a sense of control over my life. Then came the day it all blew up. Mom and Lily walked into the coffee shop on a Saturday afternoon. I was behind the counter making a latte. The look of shock on Mom's face would have been comical if I hadn't been so terrified. "Chelsea, what are you doing here?" she demanded. "I work here," I said simply, continuing to make the drink. "I have for 2 months now." Mom didn't order anything. She just stared at me, took Lily by the hand, and left. I knew dinner that night would be interesting. When I got home, both my parents were waiting at the kitchen table. The interrogation began immediately. "Why didn't you tell us you were working?" Dad asked. I shrugged. "I didn't think you'd care." "Of course we care," Mom said, though her tone suggested otherwise. "How much are they paying you?" When I told them I made about $400 a month between wages and tips, I saw something change in their expressions. It wasn't pride, it was calculation. "Well," Dad said, clearing his throat, "since you're living under our roof, eating our food, using our electricity, I think it's only fair that you contribute. Half of what you make should go to household expenses." I stared at him in disbelief. "What?" "Lily needs new winter clothes," Mom added. "And we were thinking of signing her up for dance lessons. Those aren't cheap, you know." That's when I understood. This wasn't about me contributing to the household. This was about them taking my money to spend on Lily. "No," I said quietly. "It's my money. I earned it. I'm not giving you half of it for Lily's dance lessons." After that night, things changed. My parents did the bare minimum required by law. They fed me, bought me the cheapest clothes possible when I absolutely needed them, and kept a roof over my head. Otherwise, I barely existed to them. When I had a choir performance at school, they didn't show up. When I won an essay contest, they didn't congratulate me. It was like I'd been demoted from daughter to house guest, and not a welcome one. Thankfully, I had my grandmother, Eleanor. Dad's mom was nothing like him. She started coming to my school events, cheering louder than anyone else's parents. She'd take me shopping occasionally and listen to my problems over ice cream sundaes. By senior year, I was working nearly full-time hours on weekends and after school. I'd saved almost all my money, applying for every scholarship I could find. I knew college was my ticket out. On graduation day, my parents showed up for exactly 5 minutes. They took a couple of photos, then Dad checked his watch. "We promised to take Lily to the movies. She's been so patient sitting through this." They left before my name was called, but Grandma Eleanor stayed. She whooped and hollered when I walked across the stage and took me out for a fancy dinner afterward. 2 weeks later, at a rare family dinner, I decided to share my news. I got into State University. I start in August. "We can't afford college," Dad interrupted, not even looking up from his plate. "Not with Lily's private school tuition." The smugness in his voice told me he'd been waiting to say those words for years. I smiled. "I don't need your money. I got a full scholarship. Everything's covered." Their forks froze midway to their mouths. "Well," Mom finally said, "that's nice for you." Then, as if my news meant nothing, she turned to Lily. "Tell Chelsea about your science project, honey. She won first place in her grade."